Mic check, mic check. Hello. Hopefully this thing is working. We'll see. Hello, hello, hello. Hey everybody. Good afternoon to people in the Midwest. Good afternoon to people on the East Coast. And good morning to people in the West. This is TNT Joe-Fi Tech News that Jerome Ortega finds interesting. This is episode something. I have lost count. I really need to check up on that. But how's everybody doing today? Everybody good? As good as you can be during this quarantine? I miss going out. And I was talking to friends about this yesterday, and I feel like summer's canceled. And even if things do come back to normal, I just don't know how normal things will be. I think about places like going to, let's say you want to buy clothes and you want to try clothes on. Is that going to be a thing, or are people going to get freaked out because, just how easily transmittable this thing is? I don't know. Anyway, we hear this all day in the news, so let's move on here. Hey everybody in chat, how's it going? Six says educated people prefer to say ketchup. Good to know. Thank you for your daily ketchup news. I appreciate it. I see Brian in here too. What's going on, Brian? Welcome to the stream. Miyomo ketchup. What the hell is Miyomo ketchup? Am I missing something here? Levin Williams. What's up, good people? What's up, Levin? How's it going, man? Welcome to the stream. How you guys doing? Okay, so let's start off. I really didn't want to get into the iPhone SE today because we did a whole episode on that yesterday, but there's some things I want to talk about. Just a couple things about the iPhone SE. A lot of people are talking about it because obviously this is going to be a phone that has a great price and great performance and a couple good other things. How much good? I don't know yet, but everyone's talking about it. It's obviously an affordable phone that people are probably going to be spending a lot of money on. Not a lot of money, but a lot of people are going to be spending their money on it. One, because, it's a 2020 device with high performance specs, and it should do fairly well, especially for people who are looking for a smaller factor phone. So let's kind of get started. I know that we talked about all of this yesterday, and we can kind of go into things. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask questions in chat. My voice is still kind of weird. I'm like talking right now and I feel like coughing, and that's not how I typically feel when I'm talking. But oh my God, I'm like worried it's something, and hopefully it's nothing. Anyway, okay, let's get started here. So, oh, I just, by the way, later in the segment, maybe halfway through, I have a question for you guys. And I would love if you can give your thoughts on it in chat. It's something that I have a question for you guys. And I'll talk about that too. And I'll give you my thoughts on it, but we'll talk about that halfway during the show. So this article from Apple Insider states what you don't get with the new iPhone SE. We talked about everything that it has and, you know, what it's benefiting from as far as price and performance, but this article kind of goes into the opposite and talks about things that the iPhone SE doesn't have. So before you plunk $400 down on this phone, just remember there are a couple of things that you might be overlooking because you're so excited to get a new iPhone for 400 bucks. So Apple's new low-cost 2020 iPhone SE second generation is a remarkably good value for all it gives you, but to get to that $399 price point, you forego many key features that distinguish the iPhone range. So the new iPhone SE has one particular killer feature that you will come back to again and again as you compare it to other iPhones. It's cheaper. If you're buying brand new and direct from Apple, the iPhone SE is $200 less than its cheapest rival. Okay, so let's kind of just go in here or go dig down about what it doesn't have. So Touch ID is as impressive today on the new iPhone SE as it was when it debuted on the iPhone 5S back in 2013. It's fast, secure, and as well as quickly unlocking your phone, it lets you quickly pay for goods or services with Apple Pay. This technology is 7 years old, though, and as of the launch of the iPhone SE, precisely one iPhone in the entire range has it. All of the rest of Apple's current lineup uses Face ID, and for the most part, that is better, much better. Face ID is more secure, harder to hack, and since the original generation of it in the iPhone 10 has become faster than Touch ID. I I think I'm going to agree there. When Face ID came out for the original iPhone 10, I had concerns for it because it wasn't perfect. It really wasn't. I had issues using Face ID when it first came out. And then when the iPhone 10s came out, I didn't notice because I had that one too. I didn't notice, any real improvement with Face ID. I really felt that a lot of the phone for the iPhone 10s was very similar to the iPhone 10. And then when the iPhone 11 came out, I ended up buying the iPhone 11 Pro. Face ID seemed a lot faster than what I originally had on the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 10s. So much so that it made me not really think about Touch ID. It was good enough for me to be like, hey, this actually works really well. And I've said this before. Right now, Face ID on my iPhone 11 Pro performs better than the face unlock on my Pixel 4. Now, my Pixel 4's face unlock has gotten better since they've updated it, but I still think the iPhone 11 Pro does a much better job here. So let's continue on. Right now, with the coronavirus, we are having the issue that faces with a mask can't reliably be recognized, but in general use, glancing at your iPhone has become much faster than pressing your thumb onto a button and waiting. Plus, there are people who find Touch ID is unreliable. That can be because the cases that their employers require them to use. It can be because your finger is damp or sweaty. Whatever the reason, Touch ID can frustrate people who don't find any difficulty with Face ID. I I guess that's on a per person per basis um status. I feel like Touch ID has been pretty good for me. I haven't used it in years, so if I do end up getting the iPhone SE, then I can play around with it again and give you my thoughts. By the way, are any of you guys buying an iPhone SE? Are you guys waking up early tomorrow morning to pre-order it? I'm just curious. I'm curious if it's going to be something that's going to add to your stable of phones, or if you're actually going to outright replace it with another phone you have. just curious, for 400 bucks, again, it's a great deal because of the chipset that they're putting in there. And for people who have been Apple all the way for years and years, this might be a good upgrade for you, especially if you don't want to plunk down $1,000. Okay, so let's continue on here. Let's talk about what other things it doesn't have. What the iPhone SE doesn't have is the screen size. This is one area where the iPhone SE, as good as it is lacking whichever way you look at it. Very true. If you're someone who loves the older, smaller, 4-inch display, then the 4.7-inch one of the iPhone SE is more of a difference than it sounds. It's a difference between being able to work the phone entirely with one hand and not. I said this yesterday. A lot of people who still own the original iPhone SE probably aren't going to be too thrilled about I guess them calling this the iPhone SE for 2020, because I think they were still looking for a 4-inch screen, but I don't think a small screen like that for Apple. I don't think Apple is planning to release another 4-inch screen anytime soon, if at all ever. I just don't see that happening. If you do like larger screens, as many people do, then as so many people do, then have to see the 4.7-inch iPhone SE display as being paltry. Both the iPhone XR and the iPhone 11 have 6.1-inch screens, while the iPhone 11 Pro has a 5.8-inch one. Again, this is another compromise that you have to make if you're going to be spending the 400 bucks. You're going to have big ass bezels on the front. You're going to have that home button that takes up that bottom bezel, and you're going to have a smaller screen. So you sacrifice there if you're looking for a bigger screen. Then, I mean, if that is your priority, if you want a full bigger screen, then the iPhone SE isn't for you. Okay, let's see what else they're talking about here. Screen resolution. Yeah, we know that obviously the iPhone SE is repeatedly said to be the old iPhone 8 with new internal hardware, but actually its screen goes back much further than that. In terms of physical size, resolution, and technology, the screen in the 2020 iPhone SE is almost the same as that of the iPhone 6 or iPhone 6s from 2014, 2015. I don't think a lot of people who are looking to buy this phone are really going to be up in arms about the resolution, because they already know the display is going to be small. I don't think they're looking for quad HD display or anything like that. I think the screen display is going to be serviceable for a lot of people. I think people already know they're compromising spending $400 on a phone. So I don't think that's going to be at the top of the list for a lot of people. Cameras are an issue. This is another area where there's no comparison whatsoever. This is my biggest concern with the iPhone SE, are the cameras. Yes, I'm happy about the performance. I'm happy that it's going to be the A13 Bionic chip. I'm happy that, we're still going to have a solid iPhone experience. Apple's UI isn't my favorite, but it's tried and true. It works well. The ecosystem is solid. So you're going to have a good all-around phone. We can talk about updates and how long this phone will last you. It'll probably last you as long as many other Apple phones do. My original iPhone, I can still use it. I mean, I don't put a SIM card in it, but that thing still powers up. And that thing is, holy shit, that's going to be 13 years old this year. So almost 13 years old. So let's go on here. This is another area where there's no comparison whatsoever. The iPhone 11 Pro and iPhone 11 Pro Max come with a triple camera system on the rear, and all three are lenses. That's worded wrong. And all three lenses are excellent. They're 12 megapixels and provide seamless switching between their wide, ultra wide, and telephoto cameras. The iPhone SE has one camera on the back. It is a 12 megapixel camera and it's wide, but it's one camera, and that's your lot. I don't have so much of an issue because it only has one camera. My issue is the shooter, the sensor, the camera that they're using for the iPhone SE. We don't know exactly what it is for sure, but I'm starting to read a lot of people are saying it's the camera that they're using in the iPhone XR, 10R, whatever you want to call it. Brian in my chat, he makes a good point too, and said that, so I kept drilling the statement here yesterday that there's no night mode. There's no night mode. There's no night mode. It's not going to be as good as the iPhone 11. You're not going to get really good night shots out of it. But Brian also pointed out that there is no deep fusion, which works when it comes to dim lighting environments. So you're not going to get better shots in dim, kind of like low light environments either. And that's another con for it. I'm not Is the iPhone SE gonna still have a good camera? Yeah, I'm pretty sure the camera, especially during the day, especially during really good lighting, is gonna be great. I question how it's gonna perform at night, and I think that's a fair assessment to make. I think Apple maybe did that purposely because, well, it saves them money for one if they're using maybe an older sensor that they have extra stock of, maybe, or maybe they just didn't want to put the best of their camera system in there because they didn't want it to interrupt sales for the iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro and iPhone 11 Pro Max, respectively. Okay, so except that, of course, all iPhones also have a front-facing camera. Here, the iPhone 11 Pro and iPhone 11 Pro Max are better than the iPhone SE or any other model for that matter. The front or selfie camera on an iPhone 11 Pro or iPhone 11 Pro Max is a 12 megapixel one that's as capable of shooting 4K video as the rear cameras with the iPhone 11 Pro or iPhone 11 Pro Max. That's so wordy. And exclusively with these phones, you can shoot videos equally well from front and back. Okay. So for the iPhone SE, you get just a 7 megapixel front or selfie camera. It's fine. We've had worse, but the difference is noticeable, and this camera is really just for video calls. That said, the iPhone SE does improve dramatically on the old iPhone 8. Its camera includes portrait lighting effects previously not seen on this size of phone. I thought that the front camera on the iPhone SE was going to be pretty decent as far as adding portrait mode. Did I not read that right? I thought that the front camera, even while recording video, is also going to offer image stabilization, video stabilization. I don't know. I'm not sure. So, okay, so let's kind of go into what this also says. I'm just reading to see if there's anything else interesting here. Um, Upgrading doesn't always mean improving, just as Apple is assuming you're upgrading from an old iPhone. We're making a similar presumption, and there is one last feature that might mean you instead choose to stay with whatever you've got. For with the introduction of the iPhone SE and the dropping of the iPhone 8, every model in Apple's current lineup uses haptic touch. We've lamented before about Apple abandoning the older 3D touch, but it's never coming back, and the only way you'll have it is if you hold on to an older iPhone. That's not a big deal to me. I do want to talk about what else is not on this iPhone and or what's per se lacking. It's not really lacking, it's actually an upgrade. But so this iPhone SE, this article from 9 to 5 Mac talks about other specs that have not been listed, which is 3 gigs of RAM, an 1821 milliamp hour battery, according to a Chinese reseller. So let me this a little bigger here. So the new iPhone SE was finally announced yesterday and boasts the latest A13 chip and a high-quality single rear lens. But as ever, Apple doesn't disclose the entire spec sheet. I don't know why they don't. It's up to us to kind of break it down and figure out what's in it. Instead, we have to turn to carrier sites or wait for reviews to drop. In this case, a Chinese reseller reports that the new iPhone SE features 3 gigs of RAM and houses a 1821 milliamp hour battery. So here's the thing, when in that last article, what you don't get is, so yeah, there's an upgrade as far as RAM goes. You're going to get 3 gigs of RAM here, but the iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro have 4 gigs of RAM. So you get a little more performance out of the iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro with the A13 Bionic chip. But I knowing Apple, the way their phones go as far as performance and everything, it's pretty solid. And I can't imagine it's going to be that much of a hindrance at 3 gigs versus 4 gigs. I mean, it's nice to see an upgrade at least, because the iPhone 8 had 2 gigs? So there is a slight improvement there. As far as the 1821 milliamp hour battery, apparently that's the exact same size from the iPhone 8. So I don't know how that's going to fare as far as battery life for you guys who have owned an iPhone 8. I can't remember. I think I had an 8 Plus. I don't think I had an 8, but I can't remember how good or bad battery life was on it. I don't think it was awful, but I'm assuming it's going to be similar battery life, or maybe because this new chip is better efficient as far as performance. Maybe it'll make the battery a little better. So Apple's official line on battery life is that the iPhone SE lasts about as long as the iPhone 8. The rumored specifications state a battery capacity of 1821. This lines up as the iPhone 8 also features the same 1821, blah, 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 blah. With 3 gigs of RAM, this means it has slightly less RAM than iPhone 11. Okay, so we talked about that. We can kind of leave that there. So those were the only, oh shit, I did have one more iPhone story here. Okay, that's about Google. So we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, those are just the extra specs I wanted to talk about with the iPhone SE. Again, are you guys buying one? I'm really tempted to get one for nostalgia's sake, two because I really want to test out the cameras. I kind of want to do a really kind of in-depth camera comparison video, but we'll see. It depends. I feel like this is going to be a last minute decision for me tonight when I'm thinking it over. And do I set an alarm early in the morning to prep and order the phone? I don't know yet. I don't know. Let me get into chat, guys. If you guys haven't already, please like the video. It really helps with the algorithm, I think, maybe. If you haven't subscribed, please feel free to subscribe. I do stream daily from Monday to Friday at 12 p.m. Central. I say at 12 p.m., but it's kind of around 12 p.m., so around there. But I do appreciate you guys stopping by, hanging out in the chat. And so I'm about to hit up chat right now. I know that I probably can't get to everybody, but I do appreciate you guys stopping by, saying hi, saying what's up. So I see Javier here. I'll be listening in while working with insurance for auth claims. Hopefully everything's good with you, Javier. Hopefully you're good, but welcome to the stream, Javier. Glad you're listening in. Appreciate you stopping by in chat. Brian says they're both vulnerable to not working now. Mask messing up Face ID, dry skin from hand washing, messing up Touch ID. That's a great point too. I see Kyle here. Kyle, welcome to the stream. iPhone SE is for old people. Most of the older generation have either an iPhone SE, 6S, and even 5C. Yeah, actually, my one buddy has a 5C. I think it's a 5C. Is it for old people? It's for people who maybe, bought it a while ago and they didn't want to spend $1,000. But I think it's, yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here talking about nostalgia. So it might be for people who have already owned the phone and they don't want to. I mean, can I see someone who's Gen Z, right? Like, let's say somebody who's 20 years old or 21 years old that wants to buy a new phone, or 22 that's fresh out of college and looking for a job, and hopefully they found one because it's really tough to get a job right now, I'm sure. But maybe that's not what they're looking for. Maybe they're not looking for, a $400, old school iPhone kind of deal. But yeah, I don't know. Mint Arcade says it's still Retina displays, shouldn't be bad. I hear you, man. I don't remember using an older iPhone and really complaining much about the display. I mean, I'm not the biggest like pixel peeper, right? When it comes to looking at displays, I'm not looking at everything and saying, well, banding and blah and blah blah blah. I'm not too technically adept when it comes to that. I don't really pay much attention to that, but yeah, I think for the most part it'll be serviceable. Mint Arcade, hey, welcome to the stream, by the way. Appreciate you stopping by. I see Chimchar here too, 545, watching this from my iPhone 6s. Hey Chimchar, are you using a 6s? Is that your daily or is that a secondary, or are you planning to upgrade? Just curious. I see Marshall here too. Compared to a Pixel 2 XL and iPhone XR, the small iPhone 8 had pretty bad battery life. That's not good to know. I don't like hearing that. Does that mean you can get through a full day, or can you barely get through a full day, or do you have battery anxiety? I don't know. I guess we'll see. Marshall, welcome to the stream, man. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see. Okay, so let's move on here. So I have this article from BGR. I know BGR is kind of more on the Apple bias, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've really remembered how it works, but or how this site actually brings out their news. But this article from BGR says the new iPhone SE might be Google's worst nightmare. This is a good thing to bring up because I'm actually wondering it myself. So the 2020 iPhone SE comes with the same powerful chip as the iPhone 11, making the handset faster than most competitors, Pixel 4 included. That's so weird to know this $400 phone is gonna outperform a Pixel 4. An $800 Pixel 4 that isn't 800 anymore. I think it's what is it now? Didn't it drop down 200 bucks in price? Or no, 300 bucks in price, right? So now it's 500 bucks. But anyway, the Pixel 5 is rumored to feature a cheaper Snapdragon processor than the Galaxy S20 and OnePlus 8 phones. In such a scenario, the iPhone SE would be speedier than Google's new Pixel. Oh shit, I didn't think about that. That's also a good point. Apple launched the second gen Pixel SE on Wednesday, putting an end to all the iPhone 9 rumors. The phone is indeed exactly what we expected. It has the guts of an 11 packed inside the chassis of the iPhone 8. Let's skip through that. Let's talk about what they want to say about Google here. If the rumors are right and the Pixel 5 will sport a Snapdragon 765G, the handset won't outperform the Snapdragon 865 in tests, and it'll definitely not be able to outscore the iPhone 11, the Pro, and the SE. And forget about comparing the Snapdragon 765G against the A14 chip that will power iPhone 12 phones. The following screenshot shows a benchmark comparison between the iPhone 11 and the upcoming Motorola Edge, which will have the 765G inside. Okay. So yeah, I mean, obviously these scores trounce on the iPhone 11 trounce what this 765 is going to have on this Motorola Edge. I can't disagree with that. Again, the iPhone SE starts at $399. They're hammering that down. That puts tremendous pressure on Android handset makers and especially the Pixel 5. If the rumors are correct, then Google will have a hard time justifying a flagship price for a device that won't match the hardware of other Android flagships, especially in a world where the iPhone SE exists. This is where I stop this article because what I want to point out here, what BGR is probably not going to, claim or talk about is the way that, and I said this yesterday, the way that the Pixel 5 can outperform this iPhone SE is okay, it might not be the best performing phone, but just make it performing well enough that there's no lag, and then no one's going to complain. We can sit here and we can dick measure all we want, right, about specs. We can have a pissing match about that, but none of that is going to matter if the phone works efficiently, if it performs efficiently. That's the important part. But if Pixel 5 wants to beat the iPhone SE here, if they're going to put a 765 in it, is to have the camera just outperform, well, not only the iPhone SE, but outperform what the iPhone 11 has right now. The Pixel 5 needs to beat the iPhone 11 in the camera department. It needs to outperform it in night mode. It needs to take that crown back because it didn't get the crown this year for 2019. It just does not, it doesn't outperform the iPhone 11 Pro in terms of camera quality. I'm sorry, that's the truth. And for anyone who's new or who's watching me, you can watch my older photo camera comparison videos because that's the truth right there. I mean, that's the simple way about it. I don't really have much else to say. So yeah, if the Pixel 5 does not outperform the iPhone 11 or iPhone 11 Pro, whatever, in terms of camera quality, it's going to be a disappointment because they have big shoes to fill, not to mention the fact that the iPhone 12 will probably come out as well. Unless this whole coronavirus thing kind of messes everything up, I don't know. But Google has a lot of work to do. If they want to use this cheaper Snapdragon, they better really bring it then with the camera. They better make sure that the performance is still good enough where people don't notice that the performance isn't outworldly, right? Like it's not amazing, but it's still serviceable. And I don't mean serviceable in a way where it's like, it'll do. I mean, still have it where there's no lag, where it's not gonna hamper the overall experience for the user. Okay, that's all I have to say about that. And we're gonna move on though, but let me again switch back to chat. Again, guys, for you guys stopping by, if you just came by, welcome to the stream. If you guys haven't already, please feel free to like the video. Liking this video helps me in weird algorithmic ways. Really, what I'm trying to say is hopefully it helps other people find my stream, engage in the chat, be part of the community, and it just helps me out overall. So if you guys haven't already, please feel free to like, subscribe, comment. Replay crew, if you guys just came in, you can catch the beginning when this shows up again. And for people who don't know, I do stream Monday to Friday at 12 p.m. Central, around 12 p.m. Central. So appreciate you guys stopping by. Let me check chat again. So again, hi everybody. I see Will here. LOL, it'll have to beat the iPhone 12. It's Google has a lot to do. They really do. Will also says Pixel is always the last phone to be released every year. They got a lot to really catch up on. I don't know. I bought my iPhone 6s about 3 years ago off Reddit Apple Swap. I paid around 200. Nice. For a 64 gig model. And yeah, I actually did buy it towards the end of college, upgrading from an iPhone 5. There you go. Okay, so let's see here. Brian says iPhone 8 will be okay for a year and the battery will go downhill from there because it's too small in capacity. They took away Force Touch and didn't add battery size. I hear ya. Mint Arcade says Google might need a miracle. I hope not. Google's a big ass company and who's running the show? Why is it always... Actually, this is a good segue because we're going to talk about Google for the next article here. But actually, you know what? We might talk about Google, or I might have that question for you guys. Again, I do have a question that I want to bring up to the chat, and I want you guys to input because it's a question that was brought up to me, and I thought we would talk about it. And actually, maybe we'll do that after this. So 6 says there's a OnePlus T version released earlier than the Pixel. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure. Chimchar says goes without saying battery life has been weak. It's gotten to the point where I need to carry an external battery with me to recharge halfway through the day. Yeah, that's really annoying. And again, that's why it sucks that we can't just replace our batteries because companies want us to buy new phones and not mess with anything else. They feel like that's the better way instead of because they want us to buy new phones. So I get it. I see Mike in the chat here. Mike Schneider, what up? What up, Mike? How's it going, man? Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you stopping by. Okay, guys, let me segue in here. So what I want to talk about, actually, I have a question for you. I want you to talk about it in the chat. I will give you my thoughts on it. If you had to sell a phone, let's say you own these two phones. Let's say you owned a Pixel 3a today and you owned a OnePlus 7T. Which one would you sell? If you could only use one of those phones today, which one would you own and which one would you sell? Simple question. And, put whatever thoughts you want in the chat because I know somebody that's trying to sell both and they kind of wanted an answer on that. So it might be helpful. And I'll share my thoughts on that too. So as far as a Pixel 3a and a Pixel 3a and a OnePlus 7T, I've never owned a Pixel 3a. I've also never owned a OnePlus 7T, but I can pretty much expect what I would get from both of them. So as far as a Pixel 3a, yeah, you get stock Android and it's going to be supported for a bit, but OnePlus is pretty good with support too. I know that they've had some issues lately, but in terms of something that's going to stay for a while, that's going to perform for a while, like if that was going to be my phone for a couple of years, and I guess that's a question too, is like, how long would I own it for? How long would if I could only own one of the phones, a Pixel 3a or a OnePlus 7T, as much as I want stock Android and love stock Android and I could only pick one and that was going to be my phone for the next 2 years, let's say, it would probably be the OnePlus 7T. The Pixel 3a has a Snapdragon 600, I don't know what it is, 670 chipset. And I just don't know how. I feel like over time, that lag would probably get to me. If it does lag, I don't know. I've never owned a Pixel 3a, but I know a OnePlus 7T is always going to be solid in terms of performance. It's going to be solid for a while, and it's probably going to be updated for some time. And the fact that you can still use a Snapdragon 800 chipset and still mod it. So if you don't want, OnePlus's Oxygen OS, you can go ahead and add whatever you want. If you want to, I mean, not that you can't mod a Pixel 3a, but I just feel like that chipset is, I feel like it's already outdated. Or I'm sure it's already outdated at this point. I don't know. Again, I don't own one, so it's hard for me to really justify and say how I feel, because I am not sitting here using one for performance. In terms of camera, though, I haven't used a OnePlus 7T either, but I have owned a Pixel 3. I've owned a Pixel 3 XL, and the camera's been pretty solid. It was my favorite phone for 2018. I mean, because I'm a big camera guy and I like camera performance. So, that's still a tough one. I'm sure the OnePlus 7T is going to be serviceable for a camera. I'm sure it's going to be good. It's such a tough question. It's really a tough question, because then it comes down to, well, is the camera more important or is performance more important? And maybe that's really what it comes down to. I do want to bring up the point that I did check Swappa out just to see what they're pricing for. Let me make this bigger for you guys. So the last recently sold phones for the Pixel 3a is coming in at around $225. Let's say this is the average, around $225 right now. You can sell the Pixel 3a for, and then when it comes to the OnePlus 7T, you can sell OnePlus 7T now for, it looks like, around 400-ish bucks. So you'll get more money back. I mean, obviously this is more expensive, right? But it also goes to show that, well, you can get a Pixel 3a now for $299, and you can get a OnePlus 7T right now for $499, right? So the resale values on both are pretty similar to what they're selling for. Because I mean, this OnePlus 7T sold for $440, right? And it's selling for $499. This Pixel 3a sold for $235, and that's going for $299. It's a tough question. I'm actually, in my head, I was like, yeah, no, it has to be the 7T. 7T is the phone to keep over the Pixel 3a because performance and longevity. But then what if I want a better camera? I hate these compromises. And yeah, I don't even know how well battery lasts on the Pixel 3a. I'm sure the OnePlus 7T is going to do a great job in terms of battery life and battery charging, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. Let me go into chat and just see how you guys feel about it. So Six says, I'd sell the Pixel and keep OnePlus. Brian says, does the mafia want to cut my legs off? Brian also says, if I wanted more money, selling the OnePlus 7T. That's a good point too. So maybe if you're looking to sell it because you need more cash, then yeah, obviously the OnePlus 7T is going to net you a couple more bucks. Bob Jones, hey Bob, welcome to the stream. Have I seen you in chat before? I can't remember, but welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Bob says, I'd sell the 7T. I'm thinking that the OnePlus will get more cash. Also very true. Brian says, for better camera keeping, 3A, for better long-term performance, keeping the 7T. Yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about. So I guess it's a question of how long you're going to keep the phone for, and is it performance you're looking for and longevity in terms of like how well is this phone going to last you, or are you talking about in terms of, well, what's the best camera I can get? Not that the OnePlus 7T, I'm sure the OnePlus 7T has a decent camera. I just know that it's not going to be on par with the Pixel 3 in terms of night mode or low light shots. Mint Arcade says 7T stays, Pixel won't last. I mean, you know what? I guess that also rings true for resale value. What is the resale value going to be for a 7T 6 months from now, a year from now, versus what is a Pixel 3a going to sell 6 months from now, 1 year from now? I'm pretty sure that the 7T will still sell a lot better 6 months to a year from now than what the Pixel 3a will probably sell 6 months to a year from now. I think I'm pretty right in that assessment. Mike Schneider says, I'd probably go with the 7T. I've never owned the Pixel 3a, but I have my Pixel 3 and I've been somewhat disappointed in it. Battery life being the biggest issue. Yeah, well, and then the Pixel 4 is no better at all. Six says camera to me doesn't really matter between both. I'll add Gcam to the OnePlus and be good. That's also a fair enough point. Brian says Gary gonna be pissed. Yeah, don't show Gary this. Don't show Gary this. But no, I think we're right with our assessments here. It really comes down to what, if camera is more important, performance is more important. But I feel like if if you needed to sell a phone now in terms of resale value, I think the OnePlus 7T is going to hold its value a lot better than what the Pixel 3a is going to hold its value at. Marshall says here, OnePlus has been much more reliable for both hardware and software in my experience. And I think a lot of people would agree with you, Marshall. I think a lot of people feel the same way. Okay, so Javier says I've owned both, so I know how both works in terms of specs and camera. And Six says, no, sorry, Javier. Where's your last point, Javier? Mint Arcade says Gcam saves the day. Marshall also says OnePlus plus Gcam is 99% on par with Pixel, iPhone, Samsung. That's hard to refute too, and I've made photo comparison videos with that. Leon says OnePlus has the best retention in price of any Android phone. That's also a great point. That's really a good thing to talk about too, because yeah, maybe right now, if you're looking for longevity of a phone, then maybe the 3A is the one you got to toss at the moment and keep the 7T, because you know that you're still going to get a good amount of money for it later on. And like, Leon, welcome to the chat. And holy shit, Leon with the $20 super chat. Leon, man, thank you so much. Thank you. Oh my God, I've actually someone, but you matched somebody right now with the super chat. Holy shit. Leon, thank you for the support. Thank you for the support. Yes, I don't know what to say except thank you. You guys supporting me, the way that you do helps me realize that I can keep doing this on a daily basis. One, because I love it. Two, because I get to be transparent with you guys and honest about my opinions, coming out as a tech reviewer that has always been on that edge of making sure that I'm honest with what I'm talking about. I feel like a lot of people who are big and I'm not trying to shit on people. Maybe I'm trying to shit on people. Not really. I just think it's important that we as influencers, we as tech reviewers, make sure we can have a conversation, which is why I love engaging in chat and talk about the things that are important and kind of root for the everyday person. But Leon K, again, thank you so much, man. I do appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Thank you so much for the support. For everybody else, again, if you're new to the chat, I'll probably keep saying this in between stories, but feel free to like the video or like the stream. It helps me. Hopefully it helps me have other people find the stream and kind of come in here and talk and chat and build a community. I think that's important. Javier says, honestly, between those two, I'd get the 7T. There you go. Okay, I'm losing my spot. Sergio Corretto, just checking in. Sergio, welcome to the chat, man. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you stopping by, even if it's for just a little. Sorry, I'm a little like Leon, again, thank you so much. Six says also OnePlus has wide angle, Pixel does not. That's a good point as far as the camera goes. Javier says 3A battery is good. It does last longer than the 3 and 4 because of the lower processor. That's also a good point to make here. Okay, so I think we'll move on. God, so you guys are just there's a lot of chat, so I'm trying not to. Okay. Six says every time someone donates, Jerome should put out the 267 phenomenal psychological crazy audio clip. No, I don't want to get copyright strike because I might. Leon says appreciate all the work, bro. You're one of the better ones out there. Leon, thank you so much. Again, thank you, man. Thank you. Okay. Last thing here, respect to all the supporters, hit that like, share. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for mentioning that. Javier also says if you're selling for money, the 7T will make more of a profit, but to keep for longevity's sake, the 7T is the better choice to keep. All great points, guys. I think that was a really good conversation, and I think it'll really help in terms of, selling one of the two and where to go from there. So, okay, let's move on, guys. Let's, what I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to segue in is, so this is an older article, but I've been holding on to it. Older, it's 2 days old, but I want to talk about it because, the OnePlus 8 came out and then the iPhone SE came out. And I didn't have time to touch base on this, but I want to talk about this today. And I want to talk about the future of where Google's going. And could this be Google's could this be Google's saving grace? Is Google finally going to do something about their Pixel lineup? Are they going to give us what we want finally? I don't know. I have been since the Samsung Galaxy Nexus. That's how long I've been an Android person for, because I was an Apple person at first. I've owned, even though I switched over to Android, I have still owned every single iPhone that's come out. I might not be able to afford the next iPhone 12, but you know, I've still kept up with Apple's product line just because it's hard not to. They make a solid product. Is it expensive? Is it overpriced? Yeah, but it's still. I mean, I'm paying all that money and I'm still getting a lot of stuff that I'm not getting with other phones. So this article from The Verge here says Google is reportedly building its own processor for Pixels and Chromebooks. Finally, I think a lot of people have been asking for this. I think a lot of people have been wondering, why has Google taken so long to do their own shit? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure why. I'm sure they have their own reasons, but we've talked about this, or I've talked about it in like my little group tech chat, but we've talked about how Google bought out Motorola. And then I felt like that would have been prime. Motorola was killing it when they made the Moto X Pure. They had a great phone, and I thought Google was going to take that momentum when they bought them out and really steamroll the competition, but instead they just bought them out to like take their patents, and then they sold them to Lenovo. And now Motorola, I don't know what they're doing with their phones. I don't think they make great phones. I think they got lost in the mix. They're not one of the big players anymore, which is a shame, because the Motorola started here in Chicago, and you know how I am when it comes to Chicago stuff. So it says here it could be used in Pixels as early as next year, which I would love to see. So I'm guessing it's not going to be here for the Pixel 5, but maybe for the Pixel 6, which also makes me think about, are they going to just say, screw the Pixel 5 this year? Are they going to say, let's just make something that will pass, and then for the Pixel 6 we'll kill it? If that's their reasoning, if that's their thinking behind it, that's disappointing. It's a shame, because I think as a company, especially a billion, or I don't know if they're, no, Alphabet's a trillion, but $1 billion company or whatever, a big ass rich company is what I'm trying to say. A big rich ass company. I think they owe it to their customers, to their consumers, to put out a good phone every year, right? A lot of people expect, a lot of people will go through that life cycle of every new phone that comes out, they'll buy it because they're loyal. And it sucks. I don't try to do loyalty to brands. I really don't. I don't think that's the way to stick it out in this landscape. You should really be looking out for what's good and what's the best deal. And I mean, I think that's a job for like a tech reviewer or an influencer, is to make sure that we help guide people to getting the right thing. And for the longest time, I mean, so I said I've bought every single iPhone that's come out, but I've also bought every single Nexus phone and Pixel phone that's come out as well. And that might be changing, because I just don't know. I keep holding out for Google. Well, when I say I bought every Pixel line, I didn't buy the 3A or whatever. But anyway, every big flagship one that's come out. So let's kind of continue here. I'll share my thoughts. I'll go through chat. We'll talk about it. Google may be developing its own processor that could power the company's Pixel phones as early as next year, while later versions of the processor could be used in Google's Chromebooks. Apple has long used its own processors in many of its devices, and it seems Google could be looking to do something similar for its own hardware. The chip, apparently codenamed Whitechapel, may be an 8-core ARM processor built using Samsung 5 nanometer process, according to Axios. The processor could be optimized to run Google's machine learning technology, and may have a portion of the chip designated to improve Google's Assistant's performance, according to the report. all great things, all great things until we really see it perform. That's the real thing to put here. Google already makes chips of its own for other functions in its devices. Some of its Pixel phones have a security chip called the Titan M, for example, while the Pixel 4 has a coprocessor called the Pixel Neural Core. Right now, though, the main processor on the Pixels are made by Qualcomm. Switching to a custom processor that's designed by Google to optimally run Google software and services could improve the experience of using future Google hardware, much in the way Apple's A series chips are optimized to run iOS. Here's another point, too, to make as far as Google making its own chip and Qualcomm. Qualcomm has dominated the Android market for a long time, a long time. Yes, there's Exynos out there, there's MediaTek, and then there's some other smaller name brands. But Google coming into the competition will help push Qualcomm to not only make better products, but maybe make something a little more competitive when it comes to price. A lot of people are saying the reason these phones are so expensive is because of the chipset. I can agree and disagree with that. I understand why prices would go up, but not to like this disgustingly, grossly huge margin of profit. I think that's way too much. But Google making their own chips, maybe it will force Qualcomm to say, well, now Google's in the game. We need to compete better. We need to compete better instead of incremental steps. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not right for me to say that Qualcomm's design year over year is just an incremental step, but it's not bad to have competition. Let's just put it that way. It's not bad to have other companies compete for our money, right? That increased competition is better for the consumer instead of, again, like I've said this before, instead of like oligopolies like Comcast or, well, Time Warner got bought out, right? Spectrum or whatever, like controlling the entire market. So you're forced to all pay the same amount of money because you have no other option. That's what's happening with Qualcomm. I mean, it's the same kind of deal. So to have somebody come in and add competition, it's not a bad thing. Okay. That's the article. That's it. Okay. Okay, let me bring up my final point here. My fear here is that if Google is planning to release this chip, its own processor for the Pixel 6, and there are already reports that the Pixel 5 is going to come with a Snapdragon 765G or whatever it is. So it's not going to be the Snapdragon 865. It's not going to be the high-end Snapdragon. They're going to go with the lower version of the Snapdragon 700 series or the high-end version of the 700 series, but it's not going to perform as well as an 800 series. My fear here is Google is just going to use this as their placeholder for the Pixel 6. Oh, let's just satisfy, the loyal Pixel user base and let's put a mediocre product out for the Pixel 5, which means what? They're not going to improve on the camera. They're not going to improve the battery life. Google really needs to step it up. Even if they decide that the Pixel 6 is going to revolutionize their phones that are coming out, I think it's important that they still make sure that they let their customers know, hey, we're going to still build a Pixel 5. It's going to use a Snapdragon processor. It's going to be a 700 series, but we're going to make it great. We're still going to make the experience wonderful. We're going to make the cameras amazing. We're going to make it better than the iPhone 11. We're going to make it compete with the iPhone 12, and we're going to make sure that as a consumer, you are buying the best phone for a camera today. The best overall experience in an Android phone today, something that rivals the new iPhone that's coming out. That's my hope. The other side of it is, let's just wait for the Pixel 6 and let's just put something out. That's my fear. That's my fear. So there are two sides to it. What side, Google's going to take, Android's going to take, is yet to be seen. Okay. That's it. That's all I had to say. Let me go into chat here and take a look and see what you guys are talking about. Moving up. Sorry, I'm just like scrolling up here just to make sure I didn't really miss much. Paul Hendricks. Hey, welcome to the stream, man. I've been following you from Galaxy S7, I believe. Great work. Thanks, man. Galaxy S7, that was back in 2016. So it's been a while. I know I've been on and off for a while when it came to making videos and being a YouTuber, but for I think a lot of people, this is the longest I've been consistent on YouTube, and I have no plans of changing that anytime soon. I've dedicated my time to making sure that I can, build a platform and have something, and this seems to be going pretty well for now. But Paul, thank you for joining the stream. Appreciate you stopping by. Will says Google needs to hurry up with this, but man, I don't know. It's Google. Guard Trigger says, when will the 4A come out? So there's no actual release date yet. We're thinking it's going to be coming out soon, maybe in May. I think they missed the ball because, now iPhone released their iPhone SE, which is going to be ready for pre-order tomorrow and then shipping out next week. And they're going to be taking a lot of sales away, I think, for the Pixel 4a, because iPhone already beat it to the. I made a video about, or talked about it yesterday. iPhone beat Google to that race for the $400 smartphone. But Guard Trigger, I think May, maybe late April would be a good estimation, but nobody knows for sure. But Gar, thank you for joining the stream. Glad to see you back. Okay, Paul Hendricks can't use super chat. It says link unavailable. That's okay, man. I appreciate you even trying. It means a lot to me. Thank you. If there's something I can help you out with, I'll let you know. I do have a Patreon, but I'm not going to go into that now because I'm not as active on there. I really need to get on that. When I do, I will let you guys know. Okay, so let's see here. Guard Trigger says I would not trust this whole Google owned chipset stuff. It's hard to trust Google with anything right now. It's hard to trust them with any software they're putting out because they drop it, they stop supporting it. Hardware is the same way. Man, I should just cut my own compilation of size every time I talk about Google because, yeah, I don't know. They had a custom image processing SoC in Pixel 3, but not 3A. Yeah, I don't know if I knew that. Okay, so let's see. Will says, by the looks of the back of the Pixel 5, they already said screw the Pixel 5. I hope that's not the back. I hope that isn't. Oh, yeah, Visual Core, right. No, I remember Visual Core Mint Arcade. I think I even did a video where I turned Visual Core on and off when it was in one of the developer previews. That's an old video. Chimchar says, I remember hearing about Google making their own hardware like 2 years ago after they acquired HTC. Yeah, that too. First Android phone I owned before buying a Moto E4. A true Google phone would be a game changer. I'm looking forward to it if they come out with one, if they do it right. There's so many ifs here. And I think at this point, all we can do is cross our fingers and hope Google's going to kill it this year. I don't know. I really don't know. Will says Pixel phones disappoint me every year. This will be Google's last effort. Mint Arcade says Google needs to distance itself from Pixel brand to have a more dedicated team working on it. I agree. I don't know who heads this thing. I don't know how they do all of their, all of their lineups for Pixels and their team around it, but something needs to get improved or something needs to change. Chimchar says definitely Google has the ability and resources to create the best product. Agreed. 100% agreed. Such a huge company, and they're still trying to figure out what they're doing and sell for a competitive price. It'll be disappointing if they manage to miss the target. That's the thing, though, is like, how long have they been missing the target for? They've been missing the target for a while, like year after year. They need to do something. They do. Brian with the $1 super chat. Brian, thank you so much. If you guys don't know, Brian is a moderator here, but it's also because he's been so supportive for so long, and he's been following along for a long time, and he's also a very active super chatter. So Brian, thank you for the support, man. As always, I do sound like a broken record. Here's that broken record talk, but I do appreciate you supporting, going that extra step. So again, thank you so much. Paul says, is there a way to make a donation via something else than Patreon? Patreon's the only thing that I can think of, but Paul, don't worry about it. I appreciate the sentiment. I really do. If there's a way I can help you out with that, I'll take a look at it, but don't worry about it now. Again, just you coming into chat, you being a supporter here, liking and subscribing, like that already means a lot to me. So don't worry about it too much. We'll figure something out. So again, thank you. Again, thank you. Okay. No, don't worry about my PayPal, Will. Don't worry about it. Guys, don't worry about it. It's okay. It's okay. Guys, thank you so much. Okay. There isn't much more I really want to we're already reaching the hour here. I do have a couple more stories. I'm not really going to get into it much. Maybe here's the final story I'll put in here. This is a little jab at Samsung, but the Samsung. So this article from 9 to 5 Google says the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra woes continue with display green tint issues. I actually had a display green tint issue on my Pixel 3 that actually resolved itself. I think there was an actual software issue with it, but I can't remember. But this is the first time I've seen that. This is the first time I'm seeing this with the Galaxy S20, but let's go into it. The Galaxy S20 Ultra might be the true flagship Samsung, but camera focus problems, yes. Supposed update fixes, yes. And now green display tint issues have all compounded the most expensive Android phone ever. Remember, guys, this is a $1,400 phone that isn't really performing at its price point, or at least I don't think so. According to reports by owners of the Exynos 990, so okay, this might just affect Exynos 990 people, I don't know. The most recent April update has introduced a green display tint issue. Okay, so with the update, this comes mere days after complaints about autofocus and overheating issues from those with the Exynos S20 Ultra, which hasn't had a particularly impressive start to life since release at Unpacked in mid-February. Can you imagine paying that much money and then having all these issues? I would have either found a way to file like a lemon law kind of thing, or just make sure you get it returned and get your money back. Yeah, not lemon law, just return that shit and get your money back. Well, I guess, yeah, you'd have to fight for it then if you're past the return period. The Samsung community forum is rife with owners complaining of issues that their displays suddenly exhibit green hues when set at the 120 hertz refresh rate, and the brightness dips below 30%. Look at that. Holy shit. It looks as though it affects a subsection of apps, including Samsung Pay, the stock camera app, the stock Samsung camera app, Google Chrome, PUBG Mobile, and a few more. Having them, whether you're having it on one app or all apps, doesn't matter. That's an issue and it needs to be corrected. Some have even seen the issue manifest when the battery level dips below 5% and the device temperature goes beyond 40 degrees Celsius. This causes the display to revert back to the 60 hertz refresh rate. The guys over at Sam Mobile have been able to replicate the display on the Exynos 990 variant of the S20 Ultra, but it's not entirely certain if Snapdragon models exhibit the same problems. They noticed that the green tint issues would appear when the refresh rate reverts to 60 Hz inside apps that don't natively support 120 Hz refresh rates. Samsung is suggesting that owners restore their devices in an attempt to resolve the problems. However, this isn't fixing the problem for some. We'll likely have to wait for a software fix for these display issues. That's a shame. That's a shame. I feel bad. I empathize with people who spent $1,400. What can I say? Yeah, send it back. Get your money back. Buy something else. Save that extra money and buy something else. Save $1,000 and buy the iPhone SE. Maybe that's going too far. Okay. That's it, guys. That's about it. That's really all I have to say for today. The hour is up here. Let me just go through chat real quick. Will says I'd send it back. Paul says, oh my God, Google going the Sammy way. Yeah. I don't really agree with multiple phones. I just feel like give us a great phone at around $500 and you'll make me happy. At least you'll make me happy. I guess there's a niche for everybody, but I don't need to spend $1,000 for a phone. I don't think anyone should be spending $1,000 for a phone, especially today, especially in today's everything that's going on. It's not the right time to be spending that much money unless you got heavy, deep pockets. Then by all means, it's your money. That is ridiculous. Brian says. Will says green eye mode. Mints Arcade Samsung. Welcome to the $1,400 Matrix. Bob Jones, Exynos, Snapdragon doesn't matter at these prices. No flagship should be having this many issues. Totally agree, Bob. Totally agree. I'm with you. I'm with you. Okay, guys, that's about it. I think that's all I got going on here. Oh, I see Jersey Dam mystery device. Oh shit, mystery device. Oh my god. Where's that article? Why? Oh, wow. Thank you for bringing this up. Why did I not see that? Yes, Jersey Dam. Hey, by the way, thanks for making the stream. Maybe you're just a lurker who watches and you I'm so sorry. I forgot about that. Let's talk about that real quick. Let's see Will. Okay, guys, 1 second. Will says turn on One UI's green with envy mode on the Galaxy S20 Ultra to make your friends jealous of your $1,400 device or purchase. Yeah, that's probably what that mode is. Hey, check this out. I can do this. Yours can't do it. Yours can't do this. This is a green with envy mode. Will with the $4.99 super chat. Will, thanks so much, man. Again, for you guys that don't know, Will's a huge supporter. By the way, Will and I, we do a thing called Friday Night Tech Talk, which we'll be doing tomorrow. I should be on there. I think we're doing it on Mobile Geezer's channel, which is George, who's also a very long supporter. But yeah, Will, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for going that extra mile. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate the support so much, and to everybody else. Okay, so let's talk about this. Yeah, I was gonna end the stream because I thought that's all I had, and I forgot. OnePlus is launching a mystery product tomorrow in China. Could it be the OnePlus Z? So OnePlus released its latest flagship lineup just the other day globally, but the Chinese event is scheduled tomorrow, April 17th. And while everyone thought the Chinese event would feature the same lineup as the global one, the company teased the arrival of a new mystery product tomorrow. I didn't see this tease. I don't know if anyone's really talking about it. Our initial thought after reading about this was the OnePlus Z or the OnePlus 8 Lite, as it was initially referred to. Again, a company making multiple devices at different price points because I don't know. I just don't agree with it. I feel like we would have it would just be a much better experience for the consumer if phone prices were priced decently and gave us the best of the best. But I guess this is our world today. It wasn't our world a couple of years ago, but it is today, when now it's like, let's make 4 or 5 different models. And I don't know. Okay. Our initial thought, blah, blah, blah. But by announcing it in China and not saying anything about it on the global event could mean 2 things. It's either because of supply shortages and the company has decided to release the phone in China first. So that would be really interesting, or it's going to remain exclusive to the country, which I think might be the better call, but I don't know. And by the looks of the teaser image posted on Weibo, so this is what OnePlus released on Weibo. We are pretty sure it's a phone we are pretty sure it's a phone we are talking about here. It's rumored to have a MediaTek Dimensity 1000 chipset. We talked about this not too long ago, and a 6.4-inch 90 hertz display. Some believe it will be the spiritual successor to the OnePlus X, but we will know for sure tomorrow once the mysterious phone sees broad daylight. So I'll say this right now. We'll talk about this tomorrow, I think, if that event comes out before my stream. But I want to make sure we do talk about it, because who knows what's in here. If it is going to be that OnePlus Z or the successor to the OnePlus X, then, we'll see how good this is what I'm curious about. This MediaTek Dimensity 1000. I don't know much about this chipset. I don't know much about MediaTek. It's not something that I use really on my phones. I own phones with Snapdragon processors or Apple chips in them, right? But this might be their budget phone. This might be their phone at $400. But how well will it perform? Is it gonna? Here's a good question too. Now, if this does price at $400, it's not going to outperform the iPhone SE at $400. They might be losing already before they even, got the product out, which might be the Pixel 4a as well. I don't know. I guess we'll find out tomorrow and see if they're really releasing a new device or if something new's coming out. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, Jersey Dam says he just got home from work. Well, I appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate you making it. China first, how fitting, keeping in mind the current situation. Yeah, and then MediaTek isn't really a good choice. Very affordable, as far as I know. Yeah, it's gonna be a low end phone. How well is it going to work? I don't know. OnePlus is really good at their UI. They have a really great stock Android-ish UI, and they're really good at making sure a phone performs super fluid. And like, it's it performs well enough where people don't even think about performance or think about lag or anything like that because the phone works so well. Um, yeah, so we'll see. Okay, guys, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't think I have much else going on here. I was gonna end the stream earlier, but yeah, that's all we have. There wasn't much to talk about with this OnePlus launch for the mystery device. We'll see tomorrow. Okay, so I'm gonna do my one last sales talk here. Sales talk. Uh, Marketing talk, whatever, trying to promote myself. I guess that's what I'm trying to do. Guys, again, thank you guys so much for stopping by today. It really means a lot to me. If you guys haven't already, please feel free to like the video. Liking the video, I think, helps me in the algorithm. I think it helps me find or helps me be found for other, tech channels or other people who are looking for tech channels who want to have a conversation. I think it's really important to talk about things that's going on in the tech world in a more consumer fashion way. I'm not one of these guys who buys all the devices anymore because I just don't have the money for it. If you guys don't know, I'm a freelance photographer. That's what this camera is behind me. I do freelance videography too, and I'm just trying to make it. And doing these streams is really interesting for me, and that's why I spend so much time doing it. And that's why I don't do like the gimmicky, like, bullshit personality stuff. I'm just trying to be me. And for you guys that see that, for you guys that come here, it means a lot to me. If you guys haven't already, also, if you look right here below, you can find me on Instagram and on Twitter at Phone Jerome. I'm pretty active on both, so you can check me out there too. We can talk there as well. Otherwise, I stream Monday to Friday at 12 p.m. Central, so I will be here tomorrow, and hopefully we have a good amount of news to talk about as well. That's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you guys again so much. I do want to thank Leon and Will and Brian for the super chats. Guys, thank you so much for the support. It means so much to me. It really helps me do what I do, and it keeps that motivation to keep putting out good shit for you guys and talking about things and engaging with the community. So guys, I will see you tomorrow, 12 p.m. Central. I think that's it. I'm just setting up my outro. So take care, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye now.